internet marketing, and when he played Sealed, he had a green-white deck that he built, and then he sided into a blue-red deck immediately after game one.
Yeah, that is something that happens, especially as you talk to people. You know, you have to build your Sealed deck. You have, 1 hour, and you have to do it all yourself, and there's this pressure, and you're not even sure if you've seen all the angles. And then after that, you submit your list, and you start thinking more about it. You talk to your friends. You play some practice games. You're like, actually, my deck isn't that good. Maybe I can try something else. And then you go, and you're like, oh, maybe blue-red works. And then you just start doing it, and it is something that people do a lot, and maybe don't even do as much as they should.
I did it at Vegas this year. I had a deck that I thought was pretty cool, blue-black deck in Dominaria, and I showed Ben Stark, and he was like, no, this is all wrong, and completely rebuilt it, but it was just too far gone at that point. I was already out of contention, but I just thought that was pretty funny. Vinemare here. Let's take a look at what Dan Troha has opened. Psychic Symbiont, but it is 2 colors. He's got the mare pulled to the front.
Yeah, I mean, Divine Mare is just far and away the best card in his spec here. I think, Chaos 1 is a very interesting card. It's very good in Sealed, I think.
Yeah.
But in Draft, it's not necessarily as good because it's slower. You are more punished if you brick, because it does brick sometimes you hit, a Sure Strike or a Trumpet Blast. And not everyone has removal. In Sealed, I think that card is a must-play. But here, I'm way happier taking Vine Mare.
All right, how about Dryad Greenseeker to follow up Vinemare, or are you more interested in Lich's Caress?
Oh, no, I think Dryad Greenseeker is both better and on color with what you already have. So I would think it would be incredibly wrong to not take Dryad Greenseeker here. I'm going to take a firm stance.
Okay.
I think it is better than any common, and you already have a green card. So it's good to see that Dan agrees, or I just have to be done here.
Yeah, I
couldn't accept it.
I love Dryad Greenseeker. We've seen it just be an all-star for 2 mana and draw people so many cards.
It is interesting. Yeah, it is interesting to notice that he's playing against Kentaro round 1. We already know that. And while obviously he doesn't know what Kentaro has, we know Kentaro has a lot of 3/1s. So that Vine Mare, maybe not as good against Kentaro as it would be against literally anyone else in the pod, but still a very powerful card.
How about Gigantosaurus pick 3? Is that too crazy to think about? We've got a Lich's Crest, which is solid removal.
Yeah, I would just take Lich's Crest here. Even though black-green is not that great of an archetype, the cards are not more than the sum of their parts. Like in red-white, I think, and in black-white, and even in blue-white sometimes, the cards are more than the sum of their parts. They have, hidden synergies, so a card that is bad for someone else is going to be great for you. In black-green, that's not true. The cards are good if they're good, and they're bad if they're bad. They're not getting any better. But Lich's Caress is still a very powerful card. And while Gigantosaurus is okay, it's a 10/10, it is really hard to cast. I think once you start doing the math on the card, you'll see that it is, I think, harder to cast than like a Nate drop most of the time. It's not easy to get 5 Forest in play.
Oakenform here for Dan Troha, so he is prioritizing some nice pants to suit up that Vinemare with pretty early.
Yeah, it's not like he gave up much for you either. Like that, the pack wasn't super great. And Oakenform is a card that, there is an archetype that is green-white auras, and that is where Vinemare is the best at, and Oakenform is pretty good in there. But you don't have to be that archetype to play Oakenform. You just play any 2-drop, and you Oakenform that up, and sure, they can deal with it, but, I mean, they still spent a good removal spell on your 2-drop.
And you probably got in a hit.
Yeah, and they took 5 or 10 in the process, so...
Vampire Neonate is what Dan picked up last turn here. Bristling Boar, Skeleton Archer, and Thornhide Wolves pulled to the front.
Yeah, I think Skeleton Archer is the best of those 3, or the best of those 4. I don't know if the
Especially versus Kentaro Yamamoto.
Oh, it's really good against Kentaro. I think he took the board.
He
did. Yeah, which I think is the, pretty close and the second best. Also, he's not sure he's black yet.
That's true.
I feel like he's green. He has 2 extremely good green cards already. So he really wants to be green, whereas he doesn't necessarily want to be black. Well, he does, but he doesn't have to be black.
Just a dual land and a plummet, and he's going to take the plummet here. But not a lot that's left in that pack anyway.
No, this is a very disappointing pack. And, but at least he knows he's not passing anything good. Right? The problem is when you see a pack and there's like, well, there's all those good cards in color I'm not in, and let me take this plummet here and pass a great pack to my neighbors. He's not doing that. And this is part of the reason why I think Kentara's deck receives such a high grade, even though it doesn't actually have any bombs, any rares, not even any great uncommons, is because he didn't pass anything good either. So in the context of the pod he's in, you know, so as far as we know, there's not someone with a better deck than he is. Like, it's not like the first draft that we watched where it was like, well, this is going to be a bloodbath.
Right.
Because those cards that are being passed are so good, and they're not being picked. Here, no one's passing anything good. Like, look at this pack.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, wow, I'm going to have to pass the Lava Axe. You don't care about that.
No. So he's added a second Vampire Neonate to the pile, and there's a Bog Stomper stomping on in, too. Rock's Oracle here. Pizza Rhino.
Pizza Rhino, yeah. And the Bog Stomper is very cute. We were talking about the...
Yeah.
I really feel like it should be in contention for cutest in the set if it was a smaller creature. This one is less cute, but...
Yeah, less cute, but ready to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we've got a Knight's Pledge, so I mean we're kind of hedging just, you know, a little bit. Don't think we'll see him ending up in white unless things change pretty drastically coming into pack number 2 here. We're just going to take a dual land and ship that Highland game.
Yeah, he is hedging with that land. You know, he took a Forsaken Sanctuary, which is a card that currently he will not play. But there are splashable white cards in this format. He could very easily get a Luminous Bonds, for example, and then he will want to splash it. And he already has the fixer for that. He is giving up a Highland game, which is a 2-drop. He could potentially play. There's so many better 2-drops in those colors and in basically any color that he doesn't have to worry about that. If he needs a 2-drop, he'll be able to get a Walking Corpse, you know, or the 2/2 Vigilance creature. So I like the pick here from then.
All right, so let's take a look at what he's assembled here through pack 1. A couple of Vampire Neonates in black and a Lich's Caress. Really the only things kind of pulling him towards that color. We're solidly in green here after our first pick. Vine Mare followed up by a Dryad Greenseeker and some pretty big, beefy green creatures, which is exactly what green wants to do. Bristling Boar back there, Thornhide Wolves, and Oaken Farm to go with the Vine Mare, or really anything else.
Yeah, here we see a difference from Kentara's deck, both in power level and in, you know, philosophy. I feel like Kentara's deck had a pretty flat power level across all of its cards, whereas for Dan we have two, you know, huge all-stars in the Vine Mare and the Greenseeker, and then a support cast. So it is different in this regard, and he's also not necessarily solidified in black, and his cards don't necessarily work specifically well with each other, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a good deck at this point. You know, he has a bunch of very good cards.
Paul Rietzel with a called shot here on the Poison Tip Archer, or maybe just what he really wants. That's a fantastic card. We're not going to see it here, but we do see a Lich's Caress or a Druid of the Cowl.
Yeah, I think Lich's Caress is probably a better pick, especially because he has 2 Vampire Neonates already, so he already has good defense early on. He has the Greenseeker. And it's really important to be able to remove bigger creatures in this format. Though maybe against his opponent, he would rather have Druid of the Cowl.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to pick up here. Druid of the Cowl over that Lich's Caress, prioritizing the 1/3 over the 5-mana removal spell.
Yeah, I think this is a nod to the fact that he's not necessarily locked in black yet. You know, he has Lich's Caress and 2 Neonates, which aren't that great. Obviously, they're good cards, you'll play them, but there's no pull towards black, no strong pull. Whereas a second Lich's Caress would definitely solidify him in green-black, and he maybe wants to stay open and see what else he gets.
Skymarch Bloodletter here pulled to the front. Diamond Mare, Elvish Rejuvenator, and a Centaur Courser. All options here for Dan Troha. Starcrown Stag hanging out sad in the back.
Yeah.
And here we go. There's a pick in black. Skymarch Bloodletter it is.
Yeah, so at his point, he's probably happy to be green-black, which again is not an artifact that it's not a combination that gets a lot out of being together. It's not going to be more than the sum of its parts, but it's still a fine combination. All combinations are fine in this format, I think.
Blanchwood Armor and a Sky Scanner currently in contention, as well as a Daggerback Basilisk for Dan. Which one of these do you prefer here?
I think the Basilisk is a card that I'll basically always play in my green decks. I do like the Sky Scanner with the auras that he might potentially get, though he is passing an aura for the Sky Scanner at this point. So I think I would probably go with the card that he went for, the Basilisk. I think it's just a solid, fine card. It's really good with Rabbit Bite, which he doesn't have any yet. But wow, that's pretty late.
How about a Thorn Lieutenant at this point in the pack? Colossal Majesty, too, which is one of my favorite cards in the set.
Yeah, I think you have to take Thorn Lieutenant here. It's just such an efficient 2-drop. You know,
Yeah,
it might be the
but
best to drop in the format.
Drawing cards, Paulo. Big green
Wow,
beasts.
he did take it.
Dan Troha.
Wow, he doesn't have that many ways of triggering it, right? He has Vine Mare and
has the boar.
Uptornhigh Wolves and
he
the boar.
He has a rhino.
Does have the Rhino. Yeah, well, he definitely has ways of triggering it, but I would have just taken that for Lieutenant. I have to admit.
You're probably right, Paulo. It's just, hashtag fun. Rabid Bite here, excellent pickup for Dan.
Hashtag thousands of dollars.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. That beats it.
Yeah,
that beats it.
Just go to the amusement park with your winnings. That is way more fun than...
Ooh,
oh, wow.
Yes, Poison Tip Archer. All right. This deck's looking sweet.
Oh, yeah, his deck is looking very good. And it's funny that, it is very different from Kentaro's deck. Kentaro's deck is just a well-oiled machine with all the cards that you would want. And then Troha's deck is like this, this roller coaster of extremely amazing cards,
right?
And a support cast that you don't even really care about because your good cards are so good.
Skyrider Patrol still left in this pack here for Dan Troha. We have another Oaken form too that I don't think he's very interested in. He's just going to take the Skyrider Patrol.
Yeah, I think he probably has intentions of playing it. I think the Oaken form he would play it. Like, there are enough 2-drops that are good with Oaken form in this particular color combination. Like, Child of Night plus Oaken form is good. And then the 2/2 Vigilance plus Oaken form is also good.
True to the horns here.
Yeah, that is also good with Oaken form. So he must be thinking about just playing that Skyrider Patrol, which I wouldn't necessarily be in his spot. He doesn't have any fixing for blue that I saw.
Two-headed Zombie is what he chose there over the Druid of the Horns, actually. Gear per guide. In this pack, there's a Take Vengeance hiding out in the back, another Highland game.
I wonder how much the fact that he picked the Colossal Majesty made him take that two-headed zombie in there.
That's true. Elvish Rejuvenator still left here. Well, that's a fine pickup. That'll probably make the deck.
Yeah, it almost certainly will. And it's also very good against Kentaro.
Yes.
For whatever that's worth.
Trade off with those Swift Claws. Nothing much left here. We're going to take a Lightning Mare past the pack on down. To the right. Gift of Paradise.
I rather like Talons of Wildwood in general, but if you are thinking of splashing the blue card, then maybe you should take the gift.
Crucible of Worlds, come on. You can play land cards from your graveyard. Maybe open a Scape Shift. Do it!
Yeah, maybe you play against the Rift.
Yeah.
We have seen that card already, the Tectonic Rift. That will teach them.
All right, let's take a look at what Dan Troha has put together here out of 2 packs here in our top 8 draft of Grand Prix Minneapolis. If you're just joining us, this is our second featured drafter. We watched Kentaro Yamamoto a little earlier. He drafted a Go Wide red-white deck, which looked pretty good. And, you said it here, Dan Troha kind of drafting a deck that does something completely different.
Yeah, it is just a pile of good cards that don't necessarily even work together, but just that work. And his highs are really high. They're really good. And his lows aren't that low. So I think he's pretty happy where his deck is right now. He has enough power. He has removal. He could probably use a little bit more removal.
Yeah, like Golgari Charm, maybe. Ooh, fingers crossed.
Golgari Charm? Oh. Yeah, he used Charm. He could use like a Putrefy.
Yeah. We're not back on Ravnica.
Putrefy Invocation. Oh, he's Putrefy gonna come? Yeah.
Ooh.
No. And yeah, he like the Derek.
Yeah, sure, why not?
The Poison Tip Archer is a very good card. Divine Mare is a very good card. I think he might be regretting a couple picks, like not taking the other Lich's Caress might come back to haunting him, but maybe not against Kentaro, who doesn't have any one creature that is a must kill. Like, the best creature in Kentaro's deck is probably a Starground Stag. That's the one you want to hit. But other than that, it's just a bunch of 2/2s.
What we need here is a Plague Mare.
Oh, that would be amazing against Kentaro.
Yeah, or Vraska. Yeah, sure.
Spirit Monger.
Ooh, how about Prodigious Growth?
Yeah, that card is great. But so is Vampire Sovereign.
That's true.
Which BDM insists that we call, what is it?
A Siege Flyno.
Yeah, the Siege Flyno. I do not condone this. I was forced to do it.
I give it the stamp of approval. Siege Flyno. Which do you take here? I mean, you've got the you've got one Vine Mare at this point, and Vampire Sovereign is so strong always. Prodigious Growth, of course, vulnerable to bounce or that kind of thing, but Tramples +7/+7.
I think I kind of go. I think your deck is good enough that you can go with the card that is always an 8, as opposed to the card that is a 10 or a 5. You know, so I would probably take the Vampire Sovereign in there. But Prodigious Growth is really powerful. It wins some games that no other card would. Like, you get to hit for a lot.
Strangling Spores, Giant Spider, all I think he's interested in here in this pack. And Strangling Spores has been a card that, you know, we've seen be aggressively fine this weekend.
Yes, aggressively mediocre.
Yeah.
I think it's a good card. I'll play it in basically all my black decks. I'll play multiples, but it is not a premium removal spell. You know, you look at this and you think premium removal first pick. I don't think it's that. I will first pick it, but I'm not happy about it. You know, but I think he's kind of lacking removal here. Wow, there it is.
Yes.
Oh, there it is
no.
too.
We've got two options:
Yeah.
Plague Mare or Declared Dominance.
Yeah, now if Dan Troha is peeking at the draft viewer, he will probably take Plague Mare,
Yeah.
because that is the better card against Kentaro. But Declared Dominance is so good, and still good against Kentaro, because Kentaro relies on playing multiple tutus, a lot of which have Vigilance, which is really bad against Declared Dominance.
Yes.
Normally Vigilance is a good ability, but if you're relying on having, you know, 3 tutus in play and then pumping all of them, your opponent plays Declared Dominance, suddenly they're all dead, and then you
That's
have
a
this
great
Trumpet
point.
Blast in your hand.
Skeleton Archer here also really does nasty things versus Kentaro Yamamoto. Another Daggerback Basilisk, though, and a Thornhide Wolves.
Yeah, I think like it's between, well, if he takes Thornhide Wolves, I think that is probably just a nod to the Colossal Majesty.
Yeah.
I think it is worse than the other two cards. This is probably just curve considerations. I really do like the Basilisk. He has Rabid Bite to work with it as well. Against Kentaro, he would probably rather have the Skeleton Archer, but again, he doesn't know that. So he's just making the pick that makes the most sense.
Wow, another... There's that Arcades we saw earlier on in Kentaro's draft, but another Skyrider Patrol in here.
Well, this is a very good pack. There's like an Electrify
Wow.
left, and... Yeah,
Elder Dragon, Talons. Is he thinking about splashing at all?
I don't think he should. He has no fixing. His deck is good enough as it is. It seems like he will.
Okay, well, we've got two now, so it'll be interesting to see if he actually does or if he's just keeping these out of the hands of other people, although he could have very easily taken those Talons or something, even though doubtful if they would have made his deck.
Yeah, there's also the chance that he did pick up, you know, a blue-green or blue-black dual land at some point late in the first packs, and we just didn't pay much attention to it.
Sure.
But I don't think he has one, but it wouldn't shock me if he just showed up with one, you know.
Rupture Spire. There's a way to fix your mana.
There is, but I think Rupture Spire is actually a huge cost. Having
Yeah.
a dual land is not that big a cost. I'll happily play 3 or 4 dual lands. But Rupture Spire is a bad card. So if you're playing Rupture Spire, you better be splashing for something great. And you should probably just be splashing for 2 different colors. That is the one situation I think is acceptable to play Rupture Spire. I do not like splashing for the Riders with Rupture Spire in his deck.
Titanic Growth, Gaspark Twins, and Abnormal Endurance. He's going to take the Gaspark Twins, which I actually don't end up putting in a lot of my green decks.
Yeah, I think if you're lacking top end, then it can certainly, you know, it does work for you. I think it's a good card. He will probably end up playing it. Well, there is a splash.
There we go.
There's also Giant Spider and Centaur Courser, both of which are already in his colors. And
Oh,
so
he's
yeah.
tempted.
Yeah, he should be. I think for him, the spot that he is at right now, already wanting to splash the 2/3s, which I guess he is because he took 10 over cards he could play, then I agree with this pick. I would just take the Submerged Boneyard.
Okay, more power added to Dan's deck, but at a cost. With the splash, Submerged Boneyard and Rupture Spire being a couple of ways to fix our mana, we're going to take Duress here. As we work our way towards the end of pack number 3 and our second featured drafter and make our way towards our first round of the top 8. There's that Tectonic Rift that we've seen cast a couple of times today.
Yeah, and this is a good card
Get rid of it.
to hate draft because, you know, it is a type of card that beats better decks.
Yeah.
Right, and you don't want your opponents to have access to it if you have a good deck. That is a good pickup
there
for
you
him,
go.
too. That will facilitate the splash as well.
Foul Orchard for Troha. Helping him with mana issues a little bit. Another Duress here
Wait, is that a dinosaur in the picture over there?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
getting
wow.
caught in like a carnivorous plant. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How
That's
about
creepy.
there's a third dress in a row.
I don't think he'll play them.
No.
But
Okay, there we go. Final 2 picks for Dan Troha, ending up in, yeah, he is definitely hunting for the trophy with his deck. Green, black, splashing blue for some Skyrider patrols. All right, so what did you rate Kentaro Yamamoto's red-white deck? Did you say it was a 7 or an 8?
yeah.
Okay, so how about Dan Troha?
You know, I think it's probably around there. I would probably give it an 8.
Okay.
As opposed to a 7 to an 8. So I think his deck is slightly better than Kentaro, just because his top cards are better. You know, Kentaro, again, has flat power level. He has a good strategy. He has good cards, but he doesn't have any superstars. And there are superstars in Dan's deck. So I think that makes his deck better. Though his deck is also kind of clunky, and he could just lose games because his opponent comes out quickly, and he has blue cards in his deck or tap lands. So he's paying a price for all that power. But I think overall his deck is better than Kentaro's.
All right, we'll find out what happens just a minute here at GP Minneapolis.